Today is Wednesday, November 19th, and as I always say, it's a beautiful day to have a webinar. I'm John Yarrington, CEO of the Performance-Driven Marketing Institute, a 501c6 not-for-profit trade association dedicated to protecting, promoting, and advancing the direct-to-consumer and performance-driven marketing industries. And on behalf of the entire PDMI family, it's my pleasure to welcome you back for yet another fun-filled and exciting episode of the PDMI Take 20. As a reminder, the PDMI Take 20 is a quick-hitting roundtable discussion led by industry experts on trending topics, all in roughly 20 minutes. And today we're joined by two absolutely amazing industry friends, including Marianne Batista of TurboRank and Lindsay Carnett of Marketing Maven. And together we'll be taking a look at what is and what isn't working in the social performance universe and how brands and their agencies are measuring success. However, before we get started, please allow me to do a little housekeeping. If you'd like to ask a question, and we encourage you to do so, please use the questions tab in your control panel. Also, please note you're welcome to ask questions throughout today's conversation, but we will hold all replies to the end of our discussion. Alrighty, folks, with that said, it's my pleasure to introduce today's moderator. If conversation were currency, he'd be the richest guy in the room. He's the fearless Chris Foster. Chris is Vice President of New Business and Modern Postcard, a direct marketing agency located in Carlsbad, California. In addition to his day job, Chris is the chairperson of the PDMI Brand Response Council and the host of the podcast Menfolk Journeys. As always, Chris, it's a pleasure to have you here today. Thank you so much. And for the 128th time, because today is the 128th episode, take it away, my friend. Take it away.
Well, thank you so much, Johnny. What a fantastic introduction. And welcome, Lindsay and Marianne. So glad that you two are here. We are going to jump in to what is working and not working with social media and performance. Now, social media has been the darling of marketing departments for years, but it's a bit on the outside looking in when it comes to traditional performance marketing, from the infomercial days to the hard-hitting DTV programs and other types of advertising. You know, likes and follows don't directly connect to units and sales, and buzz doesn't help direct-to-consumer brands meet their profit goals. However, new in-feed purchase CTAs, the surge of influencing marketers that are driving folks to actually buy, has really changed the game when it comes to social media and performance marketing as a viable channel for DTC brands. Social kind of has now entered the house of performance, right? So kind of welcome in, social. Glad you're here. Let's see how you enjoy the house. So from TikTok to YouTube Shorts, Instagram, even Facebook, for boomers, I get it. We're going to go into these ways in which social media can be harnessed to test new products and offers and ideas, to drive more sales, and also to scale a brand to an audience that will respond. Super excited to jump in. All right, for both of you, let's tell us about your role and your business. Marianne, we'll start with you.
Okay, sure. Hi, I'm Marianne Bautista. I'm the co-founder of TurboRank. And in a nutshell, we help performance and direct response brands turn YouTube into a measurable sales channel, not just about visibility, not just about discoverability, but actual sales and leads through the YouTube funnel. And maybe that's enough. Probably get into more detail about how we do that. Yeah.
Fantastic. Great intro. Lindsay.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Carnett. I'm the CEO and president of Marketing Maven. Marketing Maven started out in 2009 in the direct-to-consumer space. We always said that we did PR for DR. Over the last 16 years, we've evolved into a full-service integrated marketing agency, which means that we're also doing performance advertising, including a lot of what we'll be talking about today with the paid social, paid digital, and happy to have this discussion with you today.
Thanks so much. And Lindsay, let's start with you then. We'll stay on you if you don't mind. So
Sure.
When it comes to performance marketing, I'm sure that you're talking to clients about social media channels that are good, better, best.
Mm-hmm.
How would you kind of classify or segment these channels in that way?
Well, first we look at if the business is a B2B business, because there's also lead gen clients, and then there's also B2C. So then there is, all of the other platforms. And so some companies, if they're B2B, even do well on LinkedIn advertising. and they're doing well on YouTube, or they're doing well on in some categories TikTok. So I would look first B2B or B2C, and then from there, what is the vertical that they're in? Is it insurance, or is it a widget, or is it a housewares or pet or beauty? And beauty, for example, would do really well on TikTok or Instagram, and not as well on some of the other channels. And so it really depends on that category and how we back into it.
Sure. So in that way, what you're saying is that it kind of depends on the brand and the market space, how you would classify a good, better, best social media channel.
Yeah, and ideally, if we have persona data, which is why we do market research to start with, so then we can look and see what does the competitive landscape look like, and then what is the persona of their customer, what do they value, what type of media are they consuming, who are influencers that they find to be influential, and what social platforms are they actually on. And then that drives our recommendations based on where they should be putting budget.
Right. What's interesting about that is that even when you mention that, it's really a complex discovery, right? In terms of which areas are going to be best. You know, so Marianne, I'd like to pivot over to you. You know, in terms of complex, YouTube has become so much more complex than it used to be. And especially adding the YouTube Shorts and the like, they've got the channels, you know, and now we know that video content is queen within, you know, driving decision making. How does YouTube dominate this space?
Well, what's interesting about YouTube, I like to say, is that it serves many masters. It is a search, it is a social media, it is a discovery platform. It is many, many things, and everybody uses it a little bit differently, and a lot of people use it the same as well. So basically, the reason that YouTube dominates is it is the #2 search engine in the world, and it is the #1 streaming platform in the world. So more people engaged on YouTube than combinations of other video platforms. So what makes it different from some of the other social medias when it comes to sales is that it is searchable. All right. So TikTok and Reels and other, you know, places, the video dies within 24 hours. It doesn't have a lot of longevity. YouTube, it stays there forever, and it can continue to produce for you forever if it is well optimized and fed properly. So that's what makes it really great. It is also a very high authority site for search within YouTube, clearly within Google that owns YouTube. And thirdly, this is the part that's really amazing and a more recent evolution, is that we are getting into AIO and AI generative answers because you such a high authority site. So referencing that bots are referencing it.
That's interesting. Now, so one of the things that I know as just as a person who lives in the world and uses YouTube for a lot of reasons, my wife and I were recently getting ready to clean our oven for the upcoming holidays, right, for Thanksgiving. And so we were looking it up, and my wife discovered this guy who has a Clean That Up. So anyone who wants to clean anything up, I'm telling you, clean that up. Search for it on YouTube. The reason that I mention it is that the person who does it has now become a personality, right? He's actually, quote unquote, personality / spokesperson. And in YouTube, that's, I think, a thing, right? And Lindsay, I guess I would ask you, you know, we know that there are certain people on YouTube that people search for. We also know now that influencers on TikToks is kind of like this generation's spokesperson in infomercials back in the day, right? Back in the day, you had Suzanne Summers being a spokesperson for her own product or other products. But now influencers are on TikTok, and they almost even seem to be more influential than those previous spokespeople. Is that true? Is that a fair analogy?
Well, you have to measure their audiences. I think it is a great analogy. I mean, I think just my own personal experience going to South by Southwest with an influencer, I would have thought I was having sushi with Brad Pitt for the line of people that lined up to take a picture with her at the sushi restaurant that we were at in Austin, Texas. And, you know, this is probably like 12 years ago now. I mean, influencer marketing has been going on for a long time. social media advertising's been going on for a long time, but it's definitely evolved. And so, for me to witness that in person, I'm like, wow, this is a really huge deal. And working with Candy Johnson, that was another influencer that we had come to an event, and it was at the Hard Rock Hotel in Vegas, and we had like come meet Candy and have cupcakes with Candy type of thing. And there was a line of people that went around the Hard Rock Hotel in Vegas, and that is a huge hotel, and the line of people, I was shocked. I'm like, wow, this is really a thing, and so we leaned into it completely. But yeah, the influence that people will get out and go drive somewhere and do activations around this is huge.
I think so. Can I just interject one quick thought on that? Influencers are huge. They have their place. But going back to the reason that you searched, Chris, which was to figure out how to clean your oven. Imagine if you were brand XYZ and you owned the top ranking for how to clean my oven. And
sure.
In the video was a link, a shoppable link for that product. So
sure.
That could happen with proper strategy and tagging and optimization and marketing of that content.
And that's the value of the brand bringing on the influencer for that type of channel. And so, yes, the influencer could go do it on their own, but there's not as much of a benefit to the brand like Marianne is saying. So that's why it is a good brand strategy for the brand to understand who the audience is, what the ideal content is, and then back into who do I want to have get there, what type of content is attractive to them, and then you can do the digital advertising, targeting those audiences and driving them to that really great content.
And I would even posit, sorry, Chris, I would even say one more thing. I would even posit that you don't have budget for that influencer. You can still get high ranking based off of the keywords and the marketing, and looking at the gaps where there are holes and easy wins with certain kinds of keywords. So it can be done with influencers 100%, probably cost you a little bit more, but they can also bring a tremendous audience on their own. So it can be both ways. You can have it any way you want.
Well, so I want to put a pin in that and get back to it, Marianne, about the optimization. But before I do, Lindsay, I'd like to ask you, with my example of Clean That Up, I even forget the guy who does it and what his name is, but I would not necessarily have gone to the Zepp channel to learn how to clean my oven. I'm going to him because he's a professional cleaner and I trust him, and he's quote unquote product agnostic. Now, with that said, he mentions products. He says, use this, use the Scrub Daddy, use the Zepp cleaner, use the, and you can see where you can buy these products, right? And I just followed his advice to the T in terms of the products that I was going to buy, right? So, Lindsay, I'd like to touch on that because to me, he seemed like a really authentic professional cleaner. He says, I'm a professional janitor. My family's been in the cleaning business for generations. I know how to clean everything. Let me show you how to clean this oven. And we did it. And it took me a little while. My wife was like, we will never, ever doubt him ever again. We will go to him for everything. And we will. So Lindsay, what is it? For me, I feel like he knew his stuff and I trusted him. I have to believe that for influencer marketing within TikTok, it's the authenticity that matters most.
Well, yeah, I mean, they have to be experts in whatever the category is. And that's why you have beauty influencers and you have pet influencers and you have all these different categories. I mean, there's like an influencer for everything. There are Costco influencers, there are Home Depot influencers. And so, when we have clients rolling out products in Costco, we go to the Costco influencers, they're videoing themselves going to the exact place to pull out the product out of the freezer and show people exactly where it's at. Why? Because they're the Costco experts. So yeah, I mean, you can find an expert for everything. The question again is, does it back into whatever your business objectives are? And so for this, frozen seafood client example that I'm referencing right now, their goal was to expand from these physical brick and mortar Costco locations throughout the West Coast and then be able to take it to the East Coast. And they were able to successfully do that, but we did the influencer marketing, the digital advertising, everything to drive foot traffic, so then they could expand it for the next order. And that's exactly what happened. But if you know the business objectives and can back into it, then you can strategically pick your influencers, strategically pick your media buys, what creative you're going to use, exactly how you're going to build that strategy out.
Nice. I like that. That's a great example. So Marianne, talk to me about these gaps. You mentioned just now about optimization and optimization within YouTube. Why is that a crucial gap, and what does it actually mean?
We start with a reverse engineered deep dive diagnostic that reveals, I mean, they're ridiculously long, 40 pages and lots of link outs, but what it reveals is what the competition level is on all the individual keywords that are important to your category, to your product and your brand. And we know what the competition level is for, you know, the best fill in the blank, and versus, and I always use curly hair as an example. What is the best product for my curly hair? What is the best product that doesn't leave my curly hair sticky? What is it? You know, all kinds of whatever the iterations are, we can tell where there is a lot of competition for that keyword and where it's ranking. And we often go after and recommend targeting the kind of content and the kind of keywords that we associate with that, which is titles, tags, descriptions, for the lower ranking, but the more obtainable ranking. So that's what that answer that question. We reverse engineer the whole thing, and then we're going after the lowest hanging fruit. And then of course we want to get our clients to YouTube partner status so that we can integrate YouTube Shop, so that when someone finds that your video content for the product that leaves my curly hair less sticky, then one click, stay in video, buy right immediately there.
Sure, and that optimization is, I think, it's one of those, like you said, it fills the gaps and it gets that low hanging fruit. And what I think is interesting about that is that it starts to then look at social as a way to scale. And a couple of years ago, I mean, it was just not that long ago, one of the ideas was that a brand would test on social, figure out the messaging, the pricing, et cetera, and what kind of response you would get before you scale with linear or CTV. Lindsay, I'll ask you, is that notion outdated? It seems like you're talking about how brands can actually test and scale on social media.
Exactly. Yeah, they can test and scale. I think that is a outdated methodology. Like, yes, you could still do it that way, but I mean, there's so many ways to test multiple things simultaneously now and find attribution and be able to connect the dots back to everything, that I don't think that you have to stay in one little silo and then move to the next little silo and then move to the next little silo. I think you can be firing on all cylinders.
Sure, that makes sense to me. So Marianne, I'll get back to you for a final question for you before we wrap it up for both of you.
Sure.
You know, when I'm seeing and you talked about YouTube Shorts, I'm seeing a lot of YouTube Shorts that actually sell product you purchase kind of in the actual moment. What are some key components or elements that make YouTube Shorts successful or unsuccessful?
Well, I would say that number one, it's very difficult to sell a product within a YouTube short. Our strategy usually is to actually use the YouTube short to set a wide net and drive them to long form, where they're going to get a lot more detailed information. In the TikTok world, they're selling lower price points. In the YouTube world, they're selling higher price points that people need more information in order to buy. Now, we love shorts, don't get me wrong, and we do all the tactics, but we find in general that they work really, really well as a funnel to your long form content.
Sure, they open it up. That makes a lot of sense.
Where they can also buy.
Right.
The message out there, it drives a bigger audience. And I will also note that currently YouTube Shop does not charge a platform fee, unlike all the rest of them. It's amazing. So, and that may change at some point, but at the moment, it is a brand new funnel that is accessible, and anyone can set up a Shopify site and link. And if they don't have a Shopify site, there's ways around that.
You know, it's interesting. It kind of democratizes, again, there's constant thread, I think, generally in the market space that is democratizing this type of advertising for small businesses, where years ago television was out of reach, and then websites and e-commerce was out of reach. Now e-commerce is doable for anybody with $30 a month, and now getting that kind of scale with YouTube breaks down the walls to get into linear, right? It's a really interesting path to have these small and niche businesses develop a niche audience for their products.
Strategy though, just to be clear about the democratization of it. If you just throw your video content up onto YouTube and you don't optimize and you don't market and you don't know what the gaps are, you're not going to go anywhere.
Sure. Well, because as we know, there's trillions of videos on YouTube and no one will find you. Yeah, every day. So one final question for both of you, because we're already at 23 minutes past. What are the social media channels that we're not talking about? Lindsay, we'll start with you.
I mean, a lot of people have been trying Threads. That is one that is a new thing. And so I know of some agencies that have tested it unsuccessfully and have made the decision, hey, let's put a pin in that. We shouldn't be on Threads. Another one, I mean, they're Truth Media, but that died a long time ago. Like, I mean, there's so many that pop up and then just die. I mean, obviously, like, the funny joke is like Vine that died on the Vine. So I mean, they pop up and it's kind of like whack-a-mole. And to your point about democratization, when you have so many things going, you also have fragmentation. And so you can't, as a small business, even though it's nice to say, oh, we're going to be able to afford to put budget here, you can't afford to go sprinkle little budgets everywhere and then just have failure across the board. So it can't be the juggler spinning all the plates and throwing all the flaming knives everywhere. So you have to pick some channels, test some channels, and then measure the channels to see what actually works for you.
Excellent.
I have two to give to you, Chris. One is Quora and one is Reddit. They are such high authority sites. They have to be handled with kid gloves. You cannot go blasting backlinks and overly promotional. That is part of what we do to promote videos. Our clients that have us managing their YouTube programs for them, we call it off-page marketing. We go to sites like Quora and Reddit. We engage with communities that are already having conversations about that category, about that product area, and then we subtly, gently introduce our clients videos, offers. We do it from a very consumer recommendation standpoint, and that actually does three things. Number one, it drives more traffic to your YouTube, which gives you ranking there. Number two, it gets you to an audience that maybe you wouldn't find on YouTube. And number three, they're such high authority sites. We are getting into AIO and AI generative answers because they scrape that quality of site for to their system to evaluate who they're going to promote for what is the best,
for their answers. Yeah, no, that's very interesting, but you're right. I think you have to be careful because that audience will sniff it out if you're trying to hit them over the head with promotion. Yeah, well, we could talk about this topic for the next hour plus, but unfortunately we're running out of time. So Johnny, do we have questions from our audience?
We do. Great conversation, you two. Thank you so much. And we've got some fun questions here. Let's start with this one. What are the most common mistakes performance brands are still making or repeatedly making on social?
I mean, there's so many mistakes. I mean, I think the first one is customer service, because I think if the brand buries their head in the sand and doesn't get back to somebody, if, it really, like, if they're doing social media advertising and they don't have somebody on the team dedicated to responding to comments, that can just go like a wildfire, because if one person says something, it's not responded to and it just escalates, that's critical. Working with a lot of the large performance marketing brands doing digital advertising, we have somebody that is just in charge of the Q&A with all of the comments on the actual ads themselves. I think this is totally different than the in-feed comments, answers, and responses. This is its own whole thread, but it can ignite. So I would just caution advertisers to allocate a person or people or team or budget toward having qualified people manage those comments.
Yep, I agree with Lindsay 100%. I think channel moderation is really key. It has to be built in, but I really would even go back a little bit further and say it really starts with the strategy. You really have to have a well-rounded strategy before you dive into any social media.
Great feedback. Thank you so much. Let's move on to a shopping question. As TikTok really leans into its shop facet, do either of you have expectations that Meta and or Google would try to match their effort with any of their own products?
I wouldn't put it beyond them. They are businesses for profit. I mean, without question. So I cannot say that I have witnessed that personally at this stage, but I would not throw it out as being a possibility.
I feel like I've seen that more on Amazon than those other two channels. I mean, it's what happened in retail a long time ago with the private label brands. It's like you have Tylenol right here, and then you have the off-label acetaminophen, CVS brand, and it costs $2 less, and they're sitting side by side, and then on the back of it, it says like made in New Jersey, the same place as the other place was made in, and then you're like, well, maybe they're made by the same company. I might as well save $2. And so, people do their research, but yeah, I mean, those platforms are rolling out new products all the time, especially if you are a Google agency partner or whatever the case may be. And so, yeah, to Marianne's point, I wouldn't put it past anybody.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate that. Is there another Vine out there right now? And is there a social media channel that is or was recently hot that you think might fizzle out?
I mean, I think that's Threads. So I think Threads is the new Vine. I mean, so yeah, I don't know how much staying power it has. For brands, it might be good individually, but I'm just thinking of it from a brand use case.
I cannot remember the name of the audio social media that we had right at the beginning of the pandemic.
Oh, the Room. I think I still have the app on my phone.
It's gone, and I literally cannot even remember it. So yeah, that would be the one that comes to mind for me.
It was like you get to stand on your soapbox and have your speaking thing.
Rooms.
I believe it was called Clubhouse.
Clubhouse, that's it. Yes.
Clubhouse.
And everybody was sending me notifications. I'm in Clubhouse. Please join me. And I'm like, no, I'm not joining anything else.
Yes.
And I'm glad I didn't join now. Well, let's do one more question together. Looking ahead to 2026, what's the single biggest change you expect to see in how performance brands use social?
I would say absolutely 100% YouTube Shop, because it's effectively free. You need to get to YouTube partner status, and you need to be able to connect to a Shopify or other platform, but it is very, very easy to tag product within videos. It's not a heavy lift. And I think that as search has changed the traffic environment so deeply, e-commerce sites are losing traffic every day, worse over worse, right? It's just a rolling slide. There needs to be a way to offset that. And this is a channel that is not widely embraced by brands yet. It is heavily embraced by influencers. Lindsay spoke to that earlier, and that's great, but brands need to stake their claim in YouTube Shop.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to, the GEO, the generative engine optimization, people using ChatGPT as a search function. And I think that Google will continue to suffer from loss of ad revenue. I think that there is also going to be a demand for transparency in advertising based on all of the news I've been reading with the MarTech media outlets that, you know, platforms like a Blockboard, for example, that have transparency in advertising, I think are going to do really well. And I think those that are not as transparent in their advertising are going to lose some market share.
Great, great. Let me come back in and join you two, and we'll close things out. Or I should say you three, because Chris is also there. Sorry, Chris, I didn't mean to exclude you.
That's fine. No, these are the stars. That's the talent.
Well, phenomenal session, Chris, Marianne, Lindsay. Great conversation today. Thank you so much. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as I did. Before we close out, I'd like to take a moment to invite each and every one of you to join us at our next PDMI Take 20, which is hosted on Wednesday, December 10th at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. And by the way, that will be the last PDMI Take 20 of the year. We'll start fresh in January. Boy, does time tick, right? And as the calendar flies, that means next up is PDMI Spring Conference, PDMI East, in April 13th to 15th in Miami at the beautiful Eden Rock Hotel. And those who think it's cold out today, it's only going to get colder. So the idea of sitting in the sun, soaking up sun, some vitamin D, toes in the sand, warm weather, Miami sounds pretty good already. Just wait till April. And to get your badges in your hotel rooms, please visit thepdmi.com. That's thepdmi.com. And then finally, class folks, it's in session. I'd like to encourage you each to check out the all-new PDMI University with 10 powerful courses. And by the way, there are 3 instructors on this call. Thank you all very much. This online and on-demand program is designed to elevate your game, so get involved. Thanks so much, everyone. We appreciate your time. We look forward to seeing you on December 10th. Have a great day.
And happy Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.